done in an equitable and just way, understanding that we cannot tackle this problem if we leave anybody behind, and we cannot tackle this problem if more and more people participate in the green economy, and if we make the green divide that exists between the haves and have-not bill that we've signed. It's going to help us that transition to the green economy and to the jobs of the future. I'm proud that I was able to get 3 pieces of legislation into the Inflation Reduction Act that will lower the cost for people and bring more people into that green economy that we talked about. First, for the first time, used EVs and hybrid vehicles will be eligible for up to $4,000 tax credit, not just new cars. That is a big deal because it's going to be based off and build off what we've already done here in California. If you make $75,000 or less, or $150,000 as a couple, and want to be a used electric vehicle or a hybrid vehicle to stop paying for gas and help the environment, now that's an option for you. If you want to make your home more energy efficient and cut down on energy bills, the Energy Efficient Home Improvement Tax Credit will save you money on upgrades to windows, doors, skylights, water heaters, furnaces, and air conditioners. And the last bill is that any new construction will now have an ability to get a tax credit to make sure that it is a green LEED certified construction. That's going to only help future homeowners, but also help transition to that cleaner and more vibrant economy. This bill will create jobs in California by bringing an estimated $21.2 billion of investment in large-scale clean energy power generation and storage to our state. Again, these are good paying careers in solar, wind, storage, and other clean energy industries, just like the ones we saw today on our tour. Last year, there were over 500,000 Californians who worked in clean energy jobs. But just imagine now how many more will be created and how many more people will be able to work in this sector because of the Inflation Reduction Act that was championed by the House Democrats as well as the Senate Democrats and signed by President Biden. That means that California will continue to lead the way, and then the United States will be able to lead the way through, on a global scale. But that's not the only thing. Democrats in a short amount of time under the leadership of Speaker Pelosi. I wanted to remind people that the Inflation Reduction Act was just one. Democrats have delivered the CHIPS and Science Act, Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the American Rescue Plan, Lower Food and Fuel Costs Act, Consumer Fuel Price Gouging Prevention Act, and more to lower the cost for working families, create good jobs, and to save our planet. And this would have never been possible without the leadership of Speaker Pelosi. When people, she has been talking about climate change and this just transition, not for years, but for decades. And she, through her leadership, has positioned us where we're at today. From every single fight that she's led in Congress, she has made this moment possible. With that, I would like to introduce the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Speaker Madam Pelosi.
Thank you very much, Congressman Gomez, for your very generous remarks. I accept every compliment on behalf of the House Democrats who had the courage to do this. This bill, 100% of the Democrats in the House and in the Senate voted for the Inflation Reduction Act. Not one Republican voted for the bill. So when you make those compliments, I salute the courage of our House members for taking, in some areas, this would be a difficult vote. As you mentioned, we're challenging some people who've had a stranglehold on the Congress for a long time, and now that's loosened under the leadership of President Biden and the courage of the House and Senate Democrats. I'm very proud of that. Matt, thank you for your hospitality, but thank you, Congresswoman Gomez, for the invitation to be here. I'll tell you just something, my friends that briefed us. When this bill was on the verge of passing, and we knew it was going to happen, we were jumping with joy. It was so exciting. It wasn't just, oh, okay, that's good. We were jumping with joy. Well, all of that enthusiasm to jump with joy was magnified today to hear you all talk about what you are doing, even previous to this, but how this will accelerate all of that. Matt, congratulations to you, Nancy, to all of you here who have made so much of this possible, because this is about transformation. As we gathered here earlier, we talked about innovation, we talked about market transformation, and we talked about community involvement. I'll just start with the community involvement piece, because our president wanted all of the bills that you named to be about justice, about opening new opportunities in market transformation and in innovation, to be about involving, including many more people, many more women, many more people of color, and that's why in these bills they complement each other. In our CHIPS and Science bill, it's about having more opportunity for STEM, well, we call it STEAM in California because we put the arts in there too, to have many more people have access to the education and be involved in the research. But not only that, to bring their ideas about what is needed and to bring their terminology about how their communities see this, so that we are doing it in a way that relates to the challenges that people face. Whether it's in this, all of this, it's about health, clean air, clean water for our communities. It's about jobs, clean tech jobs for many more people, and actually being transformative in that so many, these are very new situations, so new opportunities for people in the community. It's about our security as a country. In so many ways, we have to be more self-sufficient and reliant, but also as we face the challenge of climate, we are also recognizing that the competition for habitat and resources and the rest are causes for conflict. And experts, national security experts say this is about our national security. And the CHIPS Act making us resilient and self-sufficient and independent of other sources. Not that we don't want to be respectful and exist in a global economy, but we cannot be just totally dependent. And then it's, of course, about our values. The Pope mentioned, I'm going to just say what he said, because he said that this is the breaking point. The Pope said this summer, our planet reached a breaking point, and we see raging wildfires, deadly storms, surging floods, crippling droughts, and everything else. So this is a values issue. If you believe, as do I, that this is God's creation, and we have a moral responsibility to be good stewards of it, yes. But even if you don't, if you just know, as we all do, that we have a responsibility to the next generation, to young people, to your baby Jahaj, that we will have a planet worthy of clean air, clean water, and great possibilities. So this is coming here to Lacey is just the biggest celebration. As I've said before when we've been together, that Los Angeles is big enough to be globally significant, but small enough to be resilient in trying new and different things, to be a model to the world. And again, with all this, with Davis-Bacon, good paying labor jobs, with internships that are paid so that young people can take advantage of it. And I was mentioning to Matt that I heard a word this morning that was just remarkable to me when you talked about welding. So here we have a legacy skill in a in a whole new horizon of jobs, but still needing some of those basic traditional skills that can't be outsourced. They are for us here. So congratulations to Lacey for what you are doing, leading the way, being a model. As Vice President, then Vice President Biden said to you when he was here, that Lacey should be a model to the world. Now he's President of the United States. And by the way, he, and I believe him, and so, that he was the first person in Congress to put forth legislation on climate change. It was before any of us were there. It was 1986. And so he takes great ownership of this issue. So when he says this is the model, it's coming from somebody who really respects what you do here. Let me just say about Congressman Gomez. He serves on the Ways and Means Committee, and much of what we heard about today were about tax credits. You talked specifically about some that address the inclusion issue, the justice in all of this issue, helping previously underserved communities be involved and taking advantage of all of this. But most of what is in this green aspect of this bill comes from his committee, the Ways and Means Committee. So thank you for your leadership on those specific provisions, but also thank you for being part of the Democratic leadership on that committee that has made this bill possible without one Republican vote. Forgive me for this way, but it's something we wish it were bipartisan, and the infrastructure bill that was referenced earlier is bipartisan, and the chips and science bill is bipartisan, a little bit, but nonetheless. And the rescue package, which got this thing, all of this started, and this now, those bills that we've had to really fight hard, because there are industries in our country that have had a stranglehold. They wouldn't allow us to pass these green bills. I had a bill when I was Speaker first time, which was remarkable, passed the House. We couldn't go any place in the Senate because of the stranglehold that the fossil fuel industry had on the Congress. And now we are loosening that. And another part of the bill that Congressman Gomez referenced was the health piece of it. This bill, because we've loosened the stranglehold of Big Pharma, they would not allow us in this bill. House and Senate to now have the Secretary of Agriculture to negotiate for Medicare. This is so important for our seniors. And we also have the bill, even though they weren't too happy about it, some of the stranglehold saw that they did not want us to be able to extend the subsidies for families to be able to access the affordable care. Many families have So again, it's a bill about science, whether it's and health, whether it's clean air, clean water, and you know what happens in some of our communities with asthma and other things that spring from pollution. And this bill is about ending pollution and the justice that is contained in it, the environmental justice, the economic justice of creating jobs, the moral justice of saying that we're starting but bringing it up. So again, we should all be jumping. I'll say that another day. But in any event, thank you. If I just make one more comment about him, you should all be very, very proud of putting together the U.S. Mexico Canada trade agreement. This was a remarkable piece of legislation. It didn't resemble at all the legislation of the Senate. So much of that happened. The comments from Gomez so in a way that not only enables people to have jobs, but as we saw earlier, equity, ownership, job, Electric, Hive. I was from Hive friend. I wasn't sure whether it was Hive, Drive, or Thrive. Hive. And other businesses that we saw inside Maxwell and the rest. So it's about ownership as well as job creation. Both of them were important to the success of our economy and keeping our planet safe for the children. Thank you so much.
Once again, with Speaker Pelosi around. This is BFD, as President Biden would say, but we can take 2 or 3 questions if anybody has one. If we answered all your questions, I'm very impressed.
What impressed me most about the tour?
What impressed you most about the What impressed you most about the
Oh, wait, President, about the tour. Well, there's stiff competition for that because at every place I thought, perfect. This was what our intention was. And it was no surprise that our bill was such a match for what's going on here because we listened to what was going on. Right now, you were an intellectual resource to us and what would work. So that's what was great, and that it was so immediate, if you want to say surprise. Not surprised because I know the talent here and the rest, but that it was, the timing was so immediate. And just to see what was happening in every category, and I hope that you all see it because in each section of the tour complemented the other. But all of it was fundamentally about justice, about inclusion, about diversity, about not only changing the marketplace, but changing the workforce in a way that is what we had in mind. But again, we learned from you and what we put in the bill, knew what to reward.
Madam Speaker, in looking through all these exhibits here and talking with all these people, did you get the sense the majority of the programs that being put here are market viable, that in 2, 3, or 4 years we're going to be seeing these sold to people in the general public? It's one thing to be, blue sky, and that's wonderful. But is there a way to sell it? Do you think we're going to be seeing this technology in 3 or 4 years in the marketplace?
Well, we're already seeing some of it in the marketplace here, as we've seen in the public housing and with some of the adjustments of from old technologies to new technologies. And Florida is an example of that. And perhaps you'd like to respond. But let me say this. A lot of what this bill is something that was a result of our climate crisis select committee. And at that select committee, to your question, at that table, we had everybody. It was a bill that was going to have balance and pursuant while we had environmentalist and labor and business, environmentalist and business, farmers. We had venture capitalists to see what the private sector would be willing to invest in. We had every aspect. We had young people, we had students, we had every aspect of society and the economy. Because your point is well taken. You can have great ideas if you cannot attract the capital to develop it. And then if you do, you have to be able to sell it. And in order to do that, you have to recognize what the marketplace is. And I think that Lacey is a great example of knowing what the marketplace is and what the traffic will bear in new ideas as quickly as possible to lower cost, have better paying jobs, have safer communities in every way, whether it's clean air or just public safety. So we think that this is a public-private, nonprofit initiative that, again, have marketed, what do we call it, marketplace? Well, and marketplace was part of their three pillars as we started, and I think that the marketplace will be very receptive to all of this.
And just to add, people like California, we often come up with the idea of a target first, right? We want to get to a certain amount of reduction in emissions by X number of years. And we set these targets and kind of forces the innovation of the private sector, the nonprofit sector, to start kind of evolving. We set the targets for cleaner air and cleaner water, especially for cleaner air, which led to the innovation of the catalytic converter and the check engine light, these simple things that made cars so much more efficient. Then we're setting like new targets for cleaner and more electric vehicles on the road. That's what kind of causes it. But then the federal government or the state government helps provide the original capital to get that to start accelerating, to make it more price competitive. EV tax credits will not always be around because the price of the car, of an electric vehicle, a hybrid vehicle, will come down and match the cost of a fossil fuel vehicle. So I have no doubt that some of the things that we've seen from the eco-electric, transforming current fossil fuel burning vehicles to electric, this could be competitive. But we have to sometimes give it a little bit of a boost. We have the oil industry that still gets billions of dollars in tax credits and subsidies.
38 billion.
38 billion. So it's, and this, how long has the oil industry been around? So our job is to spur that innovation, to get off of those fossil fuels, to make and to create those green jobs. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen just like it has done in previous years. And I know California has been a leader in that. So thank you. Great question.
This final question.
After this question.
You want to? Okay. Go.
Madam Speaker, thank you for taking my question. This is an unrelated topic. We just received a statement from CHP Foundation 1199 saying that Mr. Pelosi's membership has been revoked because they said that his actions back in May reflected poorly on the foundation. I just wanted to know if you had any response or comment on that.
Yes, it's a serious matter and he has taken responsibility. Now, to get back to your question about California, we should take great pride because we have such an impact on the marketplace because we're so big. And when we say we want cars to be clean tech cars, those who are making cars want to sell our market, and therefore it's better for them to make clean tech cars for everyone. And coming from the Silicon Valley area, the Northern California, just the whole complement of the state and our innovative spirit that we have really, really taken the country in a very, very different direction. And in that direction is, again, because we're a big marketplace here, we will have an impact on the market in the country as we have going along. And the tax credits, as you said, are a transition. The fossil fuel industry has had, imagine, $38 billion as an incentive to drill when they are making hundreds of billions of dollars. They do not need an incentive to drill. What we need, the tax credits now, for the small businesses that you were talking about, because it just transitions them to a place where then the marketplace will take over. And again, it's about good paying jobs, but it's also about entrepreneurial opportunity for people of color, young people, women, more diversity in our economy, and that's a very good thing.
Well, thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause to Lacey.